Gotta wait for Fred.
Good evening. It's July 17th. It's 6:37. The Dudley Conservation Commission is now in session.
Nancy Vukovic.
Samantha Costello.
George Slingo.
Fran Mikulajczyk.
First on the agenda is Lyons Road, notice of intent for a subdivision. Public hearing is continued, and they still want to continue it.
I make a motion that we continue the public hearing for Lyons Road to the August 7th meeting at the request of the applicant.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion granted. 118 Klondike Road, notice of intent for a garage, public hearing continued.
From last meeting.
From last meeting?
Yeah, so we can reopen it now.
Okay.
6:38.
I'll open it up at 6:38. Anybody here for Klondike Road? That's nice. You want to put that off?
You can close it. We were waiting for DEP comments, and there were some comments that they had to respond to, which they have, and they've issued a number. So Matt says it's okay to issue a standard order now.
Okay. Have that in the motion.
6:38, you're going to close the hearing first. Close the hearing.
Close the hearing at 6:38.
I make a motion that we issue a standard order of conditions for 118 Klondike Road and notice of intent for a garage.
I'll
Second.
it.
Motion's been said. Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Stebbins Drive, Lot 51, notice of intent for a single-family dwelling. Public hearing continued.
Reopen the meeting.
I'll open the meeting at 6:39.
39. Yep.
All set? Good evening. Wow. My name is Andy Baum from Summit Engineering and Survey, here with Nick Kondek
Yes.
on behalf of Reardon Development for the continuation of the notice of intent application for Stebbins Drive, which included the construction of two septic systems and development of two single-family lots. We do now have a DEP file number. What we did is bring this graphic here for the benefit of the audience and the board to see the overall project. Right here is where Stebbins Drive takes a 90-degree bend. Those of you familiar with the project will know that both of these lots were predominantly disturbed as part of a gravel removal operation. The proposal includes the development of two single-family homes. There's an approved subdivision driveway, if you will, to provide frontage here called Stebbins Drive Extension. Due to the extensive disturbance of the property, we went out and did soil testing out here to try to determine where we could put a septic system. And Title V is pretty specific. It requires what's considered naturally occurring pervious material for the siting of a septic system. And what we found, even trying to replicate some record testing here off of the southern lot, or bottom lot on the page, if you don't remember the number, Lot A, we found that the area was mostly spoils or spills before we hit ledge, and actually we ran into a ledge about 18 inches below grade here. Okay, so the only remaining area that was undisturbed and had naturally occurring material was out to the back. So what this proposal entails is the construction of the two homes, as shown. They'll be serviced by a septic tank and a pump chamber in accordance with Title V, and then go up to a high point at different locations depending on the house, and then come down to the individual leach fields here. We have provided grading and access to provide future maintenance to get down to the leach field through respective properties. Work entailed would be excavation for the leach fields themselves, and then placement of the appropriate materials, and then covering and loaming and seeding. Erosion controls involve siltation barriers at the lowest point. It pretty much encapsulates most of the site, both here and at the on the what would be the westerly side of the portion property here. And then all the disturbed surfaces will be loamed and seeded upon completion of the project. Do we have any questions?
Are there any abutters?
Good evening. My name is Attorney Christine Brosnahan. I represent the abutters at 1 Brentwood Drive.
So, the Dennis Brosnahan. So I think all the concerns are the same as mentioned a month ago. DEP involvement within that area in the past is a big question mark, right? Because that whole area, that division, subdivision was approved based on that DEP input. Was actually out of the town's hands at that point. That there were restrictions put in that area. And any changes to that area, I believe, it's been some time, either had to come back here or both back to Boston because it was such an issue with the wetlands in that area. So that's one piece of it. In addition to all the concerns we mentioned last time, and I believe the action of the board, and I may be wrong, was to go understand what that was all about. That happened 15 to 20 years ago. What restrictions, if any, were put on that property for any further development. So that property has gone from 2 lots with an approved septic that was approved by the town and the DEP as the whole development, as part of the whole development. Then that lot went back to 1 lot, approved by the town and the planning board with the current existing septic system that was there, that was planned upon. So this lot has gone from 2 to 1 to 2, back to 2 lots. So it was fine to accommodate the 2 lots. It was fine to accommodate the 1 lot, and now we're back to 2 lots. That's a complete redesign of the original 2-plot plan that used the existing septic system, existing septic design that was approved by the state. So there's a lot of history there, and I'm not sure who owns that to go find out what's going on there, but and there's been so many changes over there. Honestly, and then, you know, again, I'm not going to repeat myself because I addressed all these concerns in the first hearing.
Could you put the mic a little closer?
I
when that
addressed all
fan
these
goes on?
concerns in the first hearing. I think it would just be repetitive to do any more. I mean, I could go on like I did last time, and I don't really choose to do that. But there's a lot of concerns there, and it doesn't appear that anyone's looked at them as of yet.
So our involvement in the project started after this road development was approved by the planning board. In terms of the history of restrictions, we're not familiar with one way or the other. I'm sure like a lot of projects that don't get developed, you can end up with a lot of history. But we went out, and I'll just reiterate this, if you look at Google Earth, you can see where this area has been disturbed and used as some form of earthwork, gravel mining operation for quite some time. And when we went out there and dug with the Dudley Board of Health, Tom Purcell, I'm sorry. We, again, tried to replicate where the approved soil testing and the approved septic systems were, because obviously this is extension, is quite a bit of work, but again, I'll reiterate, this piece, Title V, is very specific on having naturally occurring materials. And those do not occur in here. The area's been so disturbed with time that these two areas won't support an on-site septic system. So the remaining portion of the property that can do that is located down here. And that's why we have the design before the commission that we have tonight, is due to those on-site restrictions.
If I may comment, there's never been a gravel mining operation taking place there, ever. That's complete fallacy, fancy. Never happened.
There was cuts and fills done all through that area. I know that for a fact.
But there was never a mining operation or a removal operation. Let's just clarify that. Yeah, okay, some rocks got moved around. I lived there before anybody else was even in there. And that area has not changed over the last 15 years. And all I know is it went from two houses to one house, now back to two, with a complete redesign of the septic system from the original two-house lot.
Okay.
And now,
First,
back to the.
first of all, the lot design was created, there was 2 lots there, which we agree. There were perks done, there was no septic designs ever done.
Perks done.
There were no septic designs were ever done over there. I know that for a fact. The only requirement that we had to do was that we could not, once the subdivision was laid down, we could not increase the lots. And that was after the lawsuit with the town. We agreed that we would we wouldn't cut the lots in half and make more lots. We agreed to the lot sizes that were there. That's the only agreement that was made with the town, with the state. So
There is an existing order of conditions on that lot that, for the DEP, because the DEP was in and out of there, I don't know how many times. So you couldn't get it, there has to be an order of conditions. How could they ever work in the wetland?
there was no order of conditions.
Again, I guess I'll disagree.
Okay,
I'll disagree.
all right.
But no, again, I brought this to the attention a month ago. No one's done any homework. Everyone's still guessing. I'm guessing. Believe me, it's 15, 20 years ago. And furthermore, my comments from last week is you're planting this thing right in the middle of wetlands, right? One thing that doesn't show is it doesn't show the brook that's on the other side,
Our wetlands.
right? So it's showing the pond, but it's not showing the other stream that's runoff that comes down through the back. So, I mean, someone's got to go reach out and do some homework and see what took place here and what order of conditions were put there.
Our consultant takes care of that.
I'm
And he's
sorry?
been to the site several times.
Who has?
Consultant.
Matt Merrill.
Merrill.
And?
He's approved this,
He's approved it, and he's recommending that
and DEP has also, yeah.
DEP.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry?
I can't hear you.
Okay, Matt Murrow, our wetlands consultant, has been there several times with DEP, and they're both in the agreement to issue a standard order of conditions
This design.
for this design, correct? Extensive work has been done in studies, and this is what they've come up with.
I don't get how that took place in a month.
It didn't, it's been worked on for quite some time.
I need to see that, okay? I need to see that, because I'm just going to frankly say I don't believe it.
If you like,
At
you
this
can
point.
see it right here.
I'd like a copy of it, please.
Sure.
And I'd also like to see the existing order of conditions
There isn't one. There couldn't have been one.
There
If
ha-
there was no septic design, there couldn't have been from us.
It was from that whole development. There was restrictions put on that development.
But that's
from the-
probably by now expired. If it's that long ago, isn't it
Has
expired?
anyone, my question, has anyone looked?
If it's been more than 3 years, it's expired. It doesn't, if it...
I'm just gonna flat out say I don't believe you, all right?
Was it-
I've already
was
gone
it-
through this with the
You're talking
town
about years and, what you
numerous
said.
times where people tell a lot of tales and untruths.
Okay.
And I want facts, not, we think, we're not sure. Someone go look.
They have. A consultant has been there.
Within the last month, has done all these studies and these
No, it doesn't have to
hydrological
be in the
studies
last-
that this thing is uphill from a wetland.
Did you have something to
Have
say?
you gone out there?
No.
This is just a joke.
No, that's why we have
That's
our
why-
consultant
Is the
that
expert.
is trained and is paid to do that for the town of Dudley.
And everything's been done in the last month, magically done in the last month.
I think it's
There was
been
no
more than a
knowledge
month.
of this a
I think
month
it's been
ago
done
from this
Over a
board.
period of time beyond that, before that.
Yes.
It doesn't just
Well,
happen.
why was there no knowledge of this in the last meeting?
Because they weren't ready for it yet.
He didn't,
Not ready for it. They're here. Why wouldn't they be? I asked if they had even been to the planning board. You didn't even know.
Because the DEP had not at that point issued according to our things, the DEP hadn't issued a file number, in which case we can't act on it. And that's why the public hearing was continued. It didn't mean that the work wasn't done.
Oh, that's
prior
not
to
why the
that.
public hearing was continued. Please go back and review
It's
the
right
video.
here in the minutes.
That's not why it was continued. Not to go look for a DEP number. It was continued so you folks go do your homework.
No. it-
Yes, yes, and maybe go out there and take a look. How you could sit here and even
Please.
consider anything
Run a
without
meeting.
going out there and look.
Is he trying to run the meeting?
okay. You have anything else? Are there any other abutters?
And there was a request at the last meeting, since George was the prior owner of this property, to recuse himself from any vote.
That doesn't have effect on it, on
The
this.
prior owner, prior developer of that.
That doesn't have any effect on
Of course
that.
it does.
It's been removed twice. It's been sold to another person, and now it's been sold to another person.
There's just too much bias and influence over that. You just stated, I have knowledge of that property. How do you have knowledge of that property? Because you did it? So why don't you offer up, if you have this knowledge that you just stated?
Just-
No, you have this, you just stated you have this knowledge that this wasn't a mining operation. What was it then? You owned it. You should know. If
I
you
told
shouldn't
you there was-
if you shouldn't recuse yourself based on those statements
Sir.
alone.
All right, that's,
Again, the
Are there
town
any
caught
other
with, the
questions?
town caught with its pants down again. I said enough. Just let it go the way you did last time, and I'll take care of it in Boston. No problem, because you didn't have the competence last time to do it either. And you still don't, because I asked you to go
Sir.
do the homework, and you didn't do it.
That's not true. It's not true.
What have you brought me? What do you have? A DEP number now?
The
could not act-
DEP
you
has been out there to inspect it, and so is our consultant. That's what we go by.
And we could not vote the last time because the
But that-
DEP
with-
number,
within-
sir,
within
I'm
one
speaking,
month.
please, I have the floor. I said, at the last meeting, our consultant was out there, but DEP had not issued a file number yet, and until they do, we cannot act. Okay, and that's what the minutes say right here, is the reason that this public hearing was continued. Until that number is issued, we cannot vote on anything. And so that's the only thing that was missing. Our consultant had been there. It wasn't in the last month, it might have been, I don't know when, we could probably look that up, but it's been, I mean, it's not.
So why was there a public hearing if there was no DEP number?
You have to open it because it was on the agenda, and so you open it and you continue it.
Just keep making stuff up as you go along.
Are there any other butters?
That's a requirement that you have to act on a permit within 21 days. So we put it on the agenda. If there is no DEP number, DEP has advised us they do not want us to close the public hearing until they issue a DEP number. In the event that they have any questions or concerns, if we were to close it, then the DEP would have no recourse to say, well, wait a minute, I want this done. That's why. If we don't act on something within 21 days, it's an automatic approval. So that's why it's on the agenda, and that's why it's continued.
But without a DEP number.
It's continued without a
Just continued.
because of the DEP number not being issued. And DEP has issued a DEP number, and they've said no comments on their paperwork.
So I'll go back to the point that I did make, is that there should be no bias whatsoever on this board on voting on this matter. And Mr. Slingo should not be allowed to vote on this matter as a prior owner of that property.
No, that has no effect on it.
Well, and what opinion do you judge that on?
All right,
All right.
you said your piece. Are there any other abutters? Any questions from the board?
No.
Hearing none, I'll close the hearing at 7 PM. So I'll make a motion.
For our Matt's recommendation and the DEP concurrence, I recommend we issue a standard order of conditions for Lot 51 of Stebbins Drive. Can we combine that with the other one?
Second.
No?
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Can we please state the names of the folks that approved?
Excuse me?
For the record, who approved?
All of us.
State your
It was
name.
unanimous.
Please state your name,
Unanimous.
It was
please.
unanimous.
Please state your name, that's all I'm asking.
We already
We
did
did.
in the
Record,
We
for
beginning
the
already did at the
record.
beginning of the meeting.
For the record,
And
please
next
state your
item.
name.
Already did at the beginning of the meeting.
Did that vote include George Slingo?
Yes, it did.
Thank you very much.
Stebbins Drive?
That's the other lot.
That's the other lot. We have to vote on the second lot.
Okay.
You've got to open this public hearing.
Reopen the public hearing.
All right, reopen the public hearing at 7:01. Stebbins Drive, Lot 51A.
No abutters present.
Notice of intent for a single-family dwelling, public hearing continued.
The abutters.
Again, Andy Baum and Nick Rondek from Summit Engineering here on behalf of T. Reardon Builders for the development of the secondary lot. For the sake of brevity, the work entailed is pretty much presented on the plan as it was for the previous lot. The construction of a single-family home, which a portion of it is within the buffer zone, and the construction of an on-site septic system, which a portion of it is in the buffer zone. There is no wetland crossing on the property, and based on last hearing, we have received a DEP file number. Again, if there's any questions from the commission or the audience, we're more than happy to try to address them.
Are there any questions from the board?
No.
Are there any abutters? Hearing none, I'll close the meeting at 7:30,
7-0.
7:04. 3.
Thank you.
Someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we issue a standard order of conditions for Lot 51A of Stebbins Drive for notice of intent for a single-family dwelling.
Motion's been made and second.
Second.
Seconded for Lot 51A. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
That's not straight. We haven't done that one yet.
Next is Noble Street, Lot 1RA, no, R2, notice of intent for a single-family dwelling. Public hearing continued. I'll open it, public hearing at 7:04. I need some glasses.
Take care.
Is it together?
Want me to grab it?
Whoops.
Yes. Do you want me to wait for the clerk to come back, or?
If you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
George's got to sign this one. Oh, he wants to do this while we're waiting. George and Fran need to sign that one.
They're waiting for the clerk to come back.
I'll be right there.
It's expired. Right. They had to come up with the current updated septic system, and they did.
No. The basis.
It's hiding in here.
Long gone.
It's showing.
He's obviously talking like 15, 20 years ago.
It's just,
It's not to their advantage to show.
He thinks the order of
no,
conditions
we're
is
not
gonna
being
hold
fair
for a
this
while.
year. That's unfair.
Well, the problem is tears it down. This right here. He buys his house and tears it down.
Well, no, you can't tear it down.
Does Fran want to see this before?
You can see now.
Fran, you want to see this?
That's the one they're looking at.
Can't see anything. Freaking allergies are so bad right now. I can't hear, see?
Of all the people that they must have moved. Did they move the planning meeting to a different room?
Yeah, they're in
Is somebody else taking notes?
it. I'm gonna have to watch the video.
I get for swimming in the weeds.
Split yourself in two.
Yeah.
All set, Mr. Chair? Okay. Again, my name is Andy Baum. I'm here with Nick Kondak on behalf of Depot Charlton LLC for the development of 2 single-family homes on what is now known as Lot 1 as part of the Pure Pond Estates subdivision. For the orientation of the commission and the audience, the top of the page is Pure Pond Road here. Noble Street is actually going up and down here, and the intersection with the first dead-end cul-de-sac, I believe it's Prince Street, is located right here. Lot 1 in the original subdivision plan was a very large parcel of property located here, and then there is a right-of-way that exists, also known as Old Webster Road? Old Mason Road, I'm sorry. Yep, excuse me, thank you. Located at the bottom of the page here. The proposal is the division of Lot 1 into 2 parcels. You can see in blue where the wetland complexes that encapsulate what would be for the benefit of this page, of the east and west side of the sheet, located here and here. The drainage basin that supports a large portion of Noble Street and development is actually located in the back here. There was some questions from the audience. There's no proposal for the revision or changes to that existing drainage basin as part of this project. The drainage easements will be unaltered, and then once the project is accepted by the town, those drainage basins that would be, those rights would be deeded to the town for the operation and maintenance of that. This proposal involves the upgrade of Old Mason Road here, along with, at the request of the fire department, a turnaround. So we go from I believe a 16-foot wide traveled path, and then go to 20 feet wide near the residential houses. And that'll allow the ladder truck to have plenty of stabilization. And then a turnaround located in concert with the drainage basin, or the drainage easement, where the drain line goes out and feeds into the drainage basin located right here. 2 houses are shown. We have not performed soil testing for the septic as of yet. but we storyboarded out what the worst-case scenario in terms of two 30 by 50 house blocks is located here. And we are squeezed by the presence of the existing drain easement on this side, so that it really gives you a small window of developable area. Cited 2 septic systems in the back, wells near the front, driveways in the front. So like I talked about the worst-case scenario, this house was sited closer to the front. There is some area, because I believe that one of the members had some concern about the proximity of this southeast corner to the 25-foot no-touch zone. So there is the ability to slide this house back if necessary. This house here has a little bit more leeway. You can see the house is almost entirely out of the 100-foot buffer zone. And I will draw attention, there's a culvert that was replaced as part of the overall project underneath Old Mason Road, and then there's a wetland complex that exists for this page, on the south side of Old Mason Road. Erosion controls involve a siltation barrier along...
Excuse me, you said you replacing a culvert?
Yes, as part of the subdivision approval, there was a culvert replacement. This was an old fieldstone culvert that was replaced as part of the project, not part of this proposal.
Not part of that.
No, this has already been completed work. So
Okay.
this application is specific for the development of these 2 lots, not work related to the subdivision.
Okay.
So that work was already completed. Sorry. Erosion controls, siltation barrier located along here, along the limit of work, and we'll have to include some erosion controls along the limit of work or limit of clearing for the development of those 2 lots. Do you have any questions?
You mentioned some about the no-touch zone and moving that house on the right back
Mhm.
further. Where are you going to move it?
If you slid it back, because this property line is pretty much perpendicular to Old Mason Road, so the house can move farther back, we are limited on how far close to the septic we can get by code. But that will get this corner farther. As you can see, it's tapered, trapezoidal. So if this house is slid farther back, we'll get that corner farther away from the no-touch.
Thank you.
Ready for questions?
So you're going to slide that house back?
We can. That was like I said, that was a concern that was brought up last hearing, and we were looking over the options to try to alleviate that concern.
So how far away would it be from the no-touch zone? Could you tell us that tonight?
I can, sure, if you give me a moment.
Oh, all right, on that plan, you talked about, but it doesn't
Excuse me.
show. There's a, oh, all right.
We're still talking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
That's why
haven't opened it up.
she looked at me, so I thought I could talk.
No problem. If you want to look at this plan, this might
That
help
would be
you.
better, thank you.
Just that one.
Thank you.
Well, if that's what you feel.
Here's a move.
Through the chair, it looks like it'd be about 35 feet to 40 feet. And again, I'm not doing detailed information here, but be able to pull it back another 10 feet. If you will, I do have to excuse myself.
If you slid it back another 10 feet, you'd be 10 feet from the no-touch zone.
Yes, approximately. Yep, so it'll give you enough room to get a
5.
vehicle room. Yep.
I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Actually, I'd like to see it a little further back, but I understand your,
We can, like I said, I can't do it in front of everybody and the edification of everyone's time. But we can certainly provide a revised plan that shows that farther back and to the maximum extent practical.
okay, now I'll open the floor to,
Open the public hearing.
Well, it's already open.
We'll reopen it.
yeah.
Yeah. I think you opened it at 7:04.
We did? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Ed Carol Soldi, 147 Pierpont Road.
That's a very pretty picture, but it doesn't show the abutters lots next to it. It's not showing the retention pond and all the brooks that go through it. And those two houses are supposed to have been, that was all supposed to be deeded over to the town back in 2005, 2006 for wetlands. I don't understand how we're building house lots on them now.
So the clerk sent us an email based on, again, the last time my husband and I were here, we brought abutters as well, because it's closer to their properties, promissory land that was given to the town. There was an email, because we asked them to go through the literature from that meeting. I ran into Sully. Not that you folks being maybe new, maybe it was just neglect of something that wasn't done on the last board, but the last board, being a promissory, deeded that land over to Dudley. So that is Dudley's wetland. We had him reroute the property to make the wetlands in back of the house for him to have the existing street that goes up for the beautiful homes that he's built up there already. So how can you take wetlands now and now want to build homes, when in fact the email states it just was never, the paperwork was never done for that process to happen to deed that land over to Dudley. But this is your land, and it's also ours because this is our wetlands. And we have an email that shows, based on everything that we were told, that nobody could ever build behind our homes because it's wetlands back there. These plans don't show brooks. They don't show how we rerouted the wetland, because if everything up on top of the hill would come back to my property, my neighbors' properties, and everybody that abuts all of this land, it's wetlands. And it was rerouted for that reason.
It was rerouted for Pierpont
For that
Lake.
to never be developed from that road, that Old Stone Road, which is supposed to be history, and that one lot. So the only thing that we didn't care about was the next lot, which was the one, our lot, which is the one on the other side of the Old Stone Road. And we thought if he wanted to build on the left of that, that's fine. But for him to come in now and want to build on the left side, I have neighbors here today that before this was rerouted on the north side, that it was rerouted, that they had water in their driveway. I was allowed to have a concrete driveway put in because I had an asphalt driveway that kept caving in from all the water. There's a retention basin. I made sure that everybody was protected for the the water across the street. We had them tie in so anything that would run off would not affect our land, but at the same token, it's gonna go into the lake. So how can you take town property and 10 years later, because nobody's paying attention and it wasn't deeded over, decide you're gonna build 2 houses? This is your property. This is our town property. Thank you.
Can I get in?
Get to the
Please
phone.
state your name for the record.
Get to the microphone.
Okay, my name is Tony Siqueira, I'm the developer. And,
In the microphone, please.
You're talking to like,
she was kind of right in the point, because when you apply for open space subdivision, that piece of land, we're supposed to give it to the town. But then that plan didn't work out, and then we move into a convention subdivision. When you move into a convention subdivision, that kind of wipe out everything. So she was right on the first plan, that's supposed to be open space subdivision. This is no longer open space subdivision. It's a convention subdivision.
Called the
conventional.
conventional.
An open space, and you're right. I'm supposed to give that to the town if I have an open space subdivision.
It was a promissory, and in the note, if you read it correctly, it says that you could never take it back from the town.
I never gave it to the
It
town?
says, Oh, it's deeded. It says right there in the note, it was deeded to the town and that you could never take that back. You pay taxes, that's fine. We pay taxes in town too. Where's my wetlands going? Where are you putting my wetlands behind our lots? That's our wetlands, that whole road, everything was given to the town. This is town property. And for you to just 10 years later, just give it back to him,
It was,
It was never deeded, supposedly.
because the paperwork never got done by the other board to deed it over, it was promissory property that we all knew. That's why we allowed the subdivision, or that's why they allowed it originally to happen.
did
I
you-
mean-
Do you have a copy of that email?
this?
Yes, we do. The clerk put, Eddie? Thank you. Not that we don't want you, Tony, but on the north side's fine. The right side's not good.
Oh, battery right now. It's right there. Do you have, can I shoot it to you somehow? It's an assessor's card from the town. Supposed in one of the notes that it's supposed to be deeded over to the town.
It's all part of the first provision.
Apparently that never happened.
No.
No,
I
it
don't know
didn't
why.
happen.
No, it didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
I have no idea why.
I mean, yeah, if Tony wants to build on the other side of the street, that's fine, but don't destroy the wetlands, okay?
Not destroyed. He had to make it wetlands in order to build that property.
Quite enough before he started building, I don't need no more, that's all. It's on one of the notes. I know it's in dark mode because we're only at 5%.
I didn't put myself on it.
Deeded over to the town shed.
Must have been cracks.
Maybe because the subdivision didn't finish yet.
And he changed the open space to.
Those two lots are not the same. It doesn't show Pierre Pond Estates on it. It doesn't show the original engineer. That's what the problem is.
He still has to donate some. Not to say that.
It's nice that engineers can have colorful pictures and draw lines on things and tell you stories, but
Can I
that's
see
what's
that
happening.
plan?
Split from 161.
This is my house right here, okay? This doesn't show Pier Point Estates here, why this got moved to there, and why you can just take it and get rid of it. This doesn't have the original engineering drawings on it of those wetlands. That was.
They're marked here, though.
Huh?
The wetlands are marked here, they're all flagged.
There's no retention pond on this, and there's a retention pond in here.
And there's two brooks.
I think you need to walk it. You draw pictures all day long. All
Look
through.
at pages.
No, see, it's different. Different plans.
Yeah, I wish we had a new copy of the revisions that were told to be done. We don't have a copy of that plan after the revisions were done. We need a whole new plan drawn up of what the revisions were that had to be done, and have a whole new plan before we can even think about houses going in.
What, I can't hear you, John. The as-built plans for the
Pier
subdivision?
Pond Estates.
Yeah, there should be
Should be something, because it's not shown on
He
this.
he hasn't probably done it yet. He probably hasn't done the as-built plan.
You can't do it after, you
He's built all
can't put
this.
the cart before the horse.
But he probably hasn't submitted an as-built plan. won't do that until he's maxed out everything. Then he'll submit it.
All projected out of Pierpont Estates and Pierpont Meadows.
Do we know what percentage of the lots are wetlands?
I don't think you meet.
This isn't like the,
Yeah, you can do it now. Total lot area is 2.6 acres. We got upland area of 65,000 square feet.
that needs to count.
Yes,
Have these lots been approved by the planning board?
they are not, have not been.
Planning board had no knowledge of it before it got back to this meeting of this. I apologize.
Please state your,
That's how I got that.
please state your name for the record.
Ed Basnet. One of the things I am is chairman of the Historical Commission, but I'm also a Pierpont resident, and I was involved in the 12, 13 years ago project outline. I can refer back to minutes from 05, 06, where one of the things that we agreed to was the town would get a piece of that property, that wetlands area, that we would have also the cart path, as we call it. It's a historic trail through that property. And now I come in, and now, you know, in the last couple of days, and here we're building a road. It's now called the Old Mason Road, and we're going to build a road on top of that. That's not acceptable to the Historical Commission, I can tell you that. We were given a promise, it's in the minutes. I don't know what happened in between the original approval and where we are today, but clearly both you guys and the planning board are in the middle of this mess. You know, people shift, people come, people go, but there should be something that's continuous in the town. A promise is a promise, and a sign-off is a sign-off, and minutes are minutes, and we shouldn't have to turn our back and say, okay, we're not going to worry about it. We need to keep our eyes on this, and clearly we're here where there should not be two houses on a road that should not be touched. This is a trail, a historic trail, and that was understood 12, 13 years ago. We need to revisit that again. And before you guys waste your time, truthfully, the planning board, I think, needs to get this settled. So everybody actually is in the room at the moment. I don't expect it to be done tonight, but I think it's cart and horse. Let's get the planning board to start sorting it out, and then if they say, yeah, we'll proceed with looking at buildables, then you guys can get involved.
Thank you.
Are there any other abutters?
Pardon?
Are there any other abutters?
Edward Darren Basnet, 151 Pierpont, direct abutter. And I have nothing else to add other than exactly what my father, Ed Basnet, said. My house is right in front of the retention pond.
Thank you.
And that path is used as a walking path by my family and other people too. That trail's been there since I was a little kid. It's always been there.
Has the planning board, they haven't approved these lots, have they approved widening the road or doing anything?
We have an A&R plan in front of the planning board, which we're hoping to discuss with them tonight. They've had some comments from legal counsel regarding it, and we have presented the plan or had some discussions with them to try to determine how we gain access to the lots, because obviously we don't want to be trying to cross wetlands. utilize.
Planning board's currently on recess until we get done here, so we're waiting to deal with this.
I think that we should continue this public hearing until I get a chance to talk to the planning board on this.
So they have a chance to do
Okay.
their thing too.
I have a couple questions I need to get clarified
Sure.
from them, if you don't mind.
Let me.
Now, what happens, that promise to deed some land to the town, that still holds, right? The promise to deed some land to the town? Yeah, well, I'm just saying, it never happened. I don't know what happened, I don't know why, but I would still think that would,
If it was an open, if it was the first submittal of a plan, and then he went from an open space to a conventional, then it's all null and void.
it's all null and void?
Correct.
Right. If what he's saying is true, you know,
But how did he get conventional without us being notified? So how does that get null and void if we get conventional?
it would have been at a planning board meeting, it would have been well publicized. You wouldn't have to be, if,
Yeah.
I was never notified of the conventional meeting, no, I was not.
that's the planning board, that's not this conservation. I understand that, but I'd like to continue the public hearing, if it's okay with you,
That's,
to the next meeting, which is
April
August 7th.
August 7th.
August 7th?
August 7th, okay. Other than dealing with the road, the only concern is how far back we can move the house, is that correct?
That
To get the
and,
most away from here, that front corner? Was there any other?
There's possibly your coverage, you know, your wetlands, 75% uplands.
How close can you go to the wetland?
We have a 25-foot no-touch zone.
So this whole thing here has to be 25 feet.
That's what he has to, that's why he was talking about backing it
He's gonna
further.
move that back.
Move it back so that he can, we'll have to do that, right?
Yeah, that was discussed at the last meeting.
Phantom line is a 25-foot offset. That phantom line, see that dark line with the two dashes? That's 25
Okay,
feet
so
off.
someone want to make that a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made, seconded to continue the public hearing for Lot 1R2, Noble Street. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
I'll continue the public hearing for Noble Street Lot 1R3,
7:30.
7:30.
Your butters have left.
So I make a motion that we continue the meeting, the public hearing for Noble Street Lot 1R3.
Second.
Motion's been made in second, continue the public hearing for Lot 1R3. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 82 Klondike Road, notice of intent for a septic system, public hearing. Waiting patiently for us.
You guys are gonna love me. You are gonna love me.
I object.
Just for the heck of it, right?
George, you want to open the public hearing?
I'll open a public hearing at 7:36. 7.
No butters. Nobody left the room.
I want to give that to...
She gets off.
Thank you. Do you need this copy? We did get a copy of the DEP notice.
Oh, I'll take it back.
They send it to us by email. You're welcome.
Is this a repair?
My name is Shelley Hultgren, filling in for Mark Farrell from Green Hill Engineering. This is a repair.
Into the microphone, please. You're too far
closer.
away.
Oh, I'm too far away?
Yeah.
I don't like to hear myself.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, you can't? Really?
No.
Can you now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I hate hearing myself. My name is Shelley Heltgren from Green Hill Engineering, filling in for Mark Farrell. This is a repair of a 3-bedroom septic system on 82 Klondike Road. How do you use this thing? Oh, there we go. The septic system is here in colored in purple. The tank is right there. The 100-foot buffer zone is right at the edge of the leach field. The lot slopes down from Klondike Road to Pierpont Meadow Pond. And so we were able to keep the actual footprint of the leach field outside of the 100-foot buffer. But the tank needs to be within the 100-foot buffer. There are proposed erosion controls in the form of straw wattles. And this was approved by the Board of Health last night.
It's a replacement of an old one, yeah.
Yeah, replacement of an old septic system. Yeah. Yeah. I told you were going to love me.
Yep. Don't have a problem in the world with this one.
Thank you.
Are there any abutters? Seeing none. Any questions from the board?
No.
Hearing none. I will close the public hearing at 7:35.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we issue a standard order of conditions,
Second.
82 Klondike Road.
A motion been made and seconded to approve the order conditions for a notice of intent for a septic system for 82 Klondike Road. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Must be done, nobody's here.
Okay. Sign duplicate.
Fran, give this to Fran.
Duplicate order conditions for 157 Baker Pond Road.
That's, that one, yes. The original was lost.
Fran? I make a motion, we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the minutes for June 26th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I also would like, the proposed certificate of understanding for use in future order of conditions. I would like to make a motion that we approve the certificate of understanding, as it was explained.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept into our rules and regs a certificate of understanding. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Has to be voted in.
Oh. Yeah.
Next is a
Mr. Ruda. wants to-
memo from the town administrator regarding procedures, payroll, and other related issues. And last is adjournment. Adjournment.
We haven't really had time to.
Can you vote on that? What it is one person has to be designated to sign the payroll voucher for all the staff in each department. So the town administrator is asking that each board vote for, make a motion to approve one person to sign. You can also say that in the event of that person not being there, Mr. Ruda has the authority to sign the payroll voucher.
Okay? That in form of motion?
I make a motion that we, Nancy Vukovic to sign. In the event that she's not available, we have Jonathan Ruda authorized to sign for her.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion, we adjourn,
Second.
7:38.
Motion's been made to adjourn
Second.
and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.